Okay, today we are going to start with production planning and we are going to look at what constitutes material and what information stays on the material master and what is stored on the material level. Okay, so there are many parts to our material, but first we'll have to see what is the hierarchy in SAP? What's the organizational structure? Top most level is the client, which is your server, not your customer, but your server. And at this level, the reporting is basically the main part for at the client top level. Then comes the controlling area, which takes care of profit center accounting, control, cost center accounting, profitability analysis, and material has quite a lot to do at this level. Company code is the operational part unit of the company, and this is where the entries, operational entries, transactions are recorded. Then the valuation area is basically the representation of the plant, and material valuation is done at this level. Plant is where your material is basically produced, stored, consumed. Okay. And plant is a manufacturing facility or a sales office, and it is also used to define corporate headquarters as well. So in organization levels, if we actually go at the top level view of our discussion, then we have plants that are being viewed as valuation level, which is again a representation of the plant. Or if the industries are different, then it might be related with the production or engineering. Under the plants, we have storage location. Okay. Now, sorry. I guess you missed all this. So basically, this is where I started off. Material, it has all the data sources and many information is stored on the material master. We'll just see how a material is basically made. So this is the hierarchy, okay? And hierarchies are basically maintained where client is at the top level, which is the server. Controlling area is your part which actually maintains and takes care of product costing, profit center accounting, cost center accounting, and of course, material as well. Material valuation is also part of controlling area. Under it falls company code, which is operational unit, company code, and company code is basically running and supervising the plants, and plants are basically units which are spots, hubs for material production, consumption, distribution, and plants are also used for to define sales offices, manufacturing facility, warehouse distribution center. And if the niche and industries differ, then plants play a very fundamental role for valuation of the material. And under plants, we have storage locations. Material master record, we have several parts to it. At client level, we describe and define material number, description, units of measure. At plant level, we define MRP data, work cell scheduling, purchasing data. At storage location, we define our locations where this material will be consumed or stored. Quantities will be also elaborated at this level. Material master has a hierarchical structure, and that structure is client, plant, and storage location. The structure makes it easier to organize. Engineering design data is managed mainly on a client level, that is your server level, or it differs from server to server. Material types. Now, before we actually go into material types, let's just have a look at material master, how it will look like. Logistics, material management, material master, material, create MM01. Okay, industry sector will be any, let's take up mechanical engineering. Material type. Material type is basically either raw material or semi-finished good or finished goods. There are three broader type of raw material. Okay. So material number can also be given over here. Let's say okay. Now we have views over here that are being shown over here, basic data, sales data, purchasing, purchase order text, MRP 1, 2, 3, and 4. Forecasting, work scheduling, general plant. Okay, general plant, accounting 1, 2, costing. Organizational levels, plant will be AA42. Storage location is where your material will be stored, and plant. Okay, we don't have storage location for this one, but anyways, and we will raw is your raw material, and you can maintain material numbers as per your material types. Now, what are material types? Let's go to that part. SPRO. Okay. Okay. Material type, logistics, material master, and material groups. Management, general settings for material data, material types,
Assalamualaikum, sir.
material types, attributes, and define number ranges. From here, number ranges, we define whether it will be internal material number range or different. Attributes of material types. Now, over here, if we look at ROH raw, double click, and speaking of this material type, where we will be creating raw materials that we have already seen. Now, these user departments are the views that we have seen over here in the first screen. Let me just go back. No. Raw was a net views. Now, these are the views that we are talking about over here. Once we actually deactivate any, that will not be available. Okay. External purchase orders, whether this material can be procured from the outside or whether it can be produced internally, okay, or both hybrid will be used. This is the control that we can give from here, okay. And quantity and value updation is done based on plant level. Why plant level? Because by each plant, now plant locations can be different. One plant can be located in another region or another country. Over there, the valuation will be different based on the cost of the material or the overheads that are required to produce that material, but valuation will be based on one unified currency. Okay. So material type, these material types actually define and dictate groups according to industry sector. Industry sector determines which industry specific data appears in material master record. Material type determines which department can enter data. So we have various types of material types. Your customer can have their own predefined customized material types. Like there can be many categories in semi-finished products. Okay. And so on and so forth. Finished products can be of many types. Okay. Some can be of different quality and some can be of higher quality and low quality. So material type groups together the materials that have attributes in common. It controls departments, whether how quantities are updated, whether quantities are updated in pieces or kgs, that is defined by material master. Whether materials procured internally or externally, I've already told you that, which GL accounts are required to update the material. Material type influences internal processing. You can change material type without restriction if no stocks are available on that material number. Okay. Stock reservations are exist. Material type can be changed if same GL account is used by the old material type. Quantities are updated as they were by the old material type. So you have to basically knock out all the stock levels so that you can change the material type for some reason or the other. Industry sector that we have already seen is mechanical engineering. We can also define our own industry sectors. It determines which screens appear and in which order. Industry specific data is also part of material master. Now, these are the views. I've already told you the views that we select. We have basic data, purchasing, MRP, accounting, storage. We'll see all of these. So when we talk about production planning data, we have 4 parts to that: MRP view, basic data view, classification view, work scheduling view. MRP and work scheduling basically relate to your production planning specifically, where we have to see the views are basically demand some details which are specific to production. Okay. So the functions of a material master, it can be copied, it can be extended from one plant to another, and basically based on some defaults like industry, the views can be also extended to another plant as well. MRP default values can also be defaulted also. Okay. So the views that we have, the screens that we have initially, where in the first part, we have purchasing, basic data, MRP, forecasting, and others. We have additional data levels. This is the main part. Then we have the details that go inside these parts. We'll just see how it is done. Okay. Basic data, sales, purchasing, MRP 1, 2, 3, 4. General plant data, work scheduling, organization levels, AA42, was net basic unit of measure is EA. PK raw material group. Now material group and material type. Now material type is raw. Material group basically will actually define what material types, multiple material types can be grouped in a material in a group. Okay, all of the raw materials of a certain category can be given over here. Okay. So we have multiple views: basic data, classification, sales, organization. And in that we have molecular details like unit of measure, gross weight 1, net weight 1, volume, of course, when we are dealing with liquids. Okay. So external numbers can be assigned, internal numbers can be generated by the system, and finished goods, for example, can be generated externally and internally both. Material number is basically our numbers that we can decide. The maximum material number that we can have is 18, and it can have its own barcode developed in SAP. Unit of measure is piece, and under that, if material types differ, for example, carton, crate, pallet, these are pieces, it will have a different numbering range. Okay. So in material master, we have units of measure and we have groups, and groups can actually club together material types, and we are basically recording your units of measure at one place. So there is procurement unit of measure, which can be in cartons, and issuance unit of measure can be different. We'll just see in the material master. Okay. Okay. Basic data 2, internal description, environmentally relevant. If it is bulk liquids, we can select that as well. And sales org, PK raw is the group. Okay. Division, we can also define a division which is taking care of what is division is part of the sales organization that is basically responsible to responsible to move this material for sales. Okay. Anyways, let's go ahead. So document basically in a material master record, where is the usage? The usage is basically multiple for production, for material record that will be used for inspection, for drawings, for brochures, okay, for production, for planning, for forecasting, okay. Bills of material is specifically used for production. Now, bills of material are basically defined to know what is the procedure and what materials will be required to produce a certain kind of semi-finished good or a finished good. Okay. Material status. Okay. Now, material status basically when you're producing or purchasing internally or externally your material you're procuring, there should be some checks, and those checks basically help you to align your material documents and material data. And material status is basically, it tells you what is the current stock level of a material, and when they're actually purchasing, there are some checks, and if those checks and conditions are not met, there are messaging controls that are defined by SAP. Okay, and that throws an error. For example, if GL accounts or cost centers are missing, it throws an error. When we are building BOM header or BOM item, it doesn't notify us of the material routing. It also doesn't notify because you just have to mention that. Independent requirement in in forecasting. Yes, there are warnings because material has to be necessarily defined and mentioned. In MRP, again, when you're planning your product, material mentioning is not that tightly supervised by MRP. In production order as well. So these are some controls that are defined by SAP. When you're extending a material, we'll also extend a material from one plant to another. But first, let's go into details. Base unit of measure is each, but ordering unit can be different as well. Material group is already copied. Purchase value key, GR processing time, source list. Yes, source list is important. Now, what is source list? Part of purchasing where you actually define and club your vendor and material from where you want to source your material. Okay. In material list, we have numbering range, plants, the types, and of course, the users that want to use that material. Materials can also be deleted. It can be archived if it is not under any other use. The classifications that we want to user-defined structures are there, which will be using the material master records for various workflows and for routing and for BOMs as well. So this is the hierarchy that is specific to your business. Now, classifications, if we talk about the classifications, material class, if you define that, of course, a pump will have a class which will have these kind of features. Now, these features will also be used for maintaining your material master, and that will have some more characteristics. Features and characteristics actually make up your material types and groups. So finding a material, again, we can find a material based on the plant, because at plant level, you define your material and that can be searched when we actually make that. Authorization group is basically for users who will be responsible for maintaining this material. Okay, so they can actually work on a specific material type from a plant perspective, from a specific material. That again, those authorizations are given to users. So some users will have change authority, some will have only display authority. Okay. Now, if we look at uh, the material master, we've already seen that. Okay. Um, let's go and check our configuration, class type. Material class, equipment class. Now, what are the classes that you will be using with this material, whether it's a batch, it is based on plant, or it is also related with other units, like it can be a part of the recipe. I mean, this raw material can be a part of the recipe based on your business requirement. Okay. If you talk about the class, okay, now we have some classes that we can actually attach with this material. Basically, your class is just like a material category, like the pump that we showed in the presentation. Um, though those actually define and dictate your material class, and that will carry its own features. Okay, so let's go and check raw material that we are creating. Okay, purchasing MRP1. If we talk about MRPs right now, okay, there are four parts to it: general data, MRP procedure, lot size data, MRP areas. Okay, MRP type. Okay, now MRP type, basically, uh, let's take it up in the next part, in the next phase. Now, raw material, if you actually are producing your raw material or buying from the outside, okay, the raw material can have those both the categories of producing internally and buying from the outside. That is a hybrid procedure. Okay, and we can actually use both of these attributes. Now, what are these attributes? Let's go down to the configuration and see. um, the steps are given over here: SPRO logistics, material master. Let's go back and see logistics, material master, basic settings, material types, define attributes of material types. We were already there: internal, external purchase orders, ROH. Okay. ROH, raw, and external, internal, external purchase orders. Internal, we've already discussed this. Okay. Internal purchase orders. Internal purchase orders allowed, internal purchase order allowed, but with warnings. I mean, these are the specific settings that you can actually assign. Okay, we've already done that. Now, these are the views I've already done. MRP1. Now, there are four parts to your MRP. Let's go to that and go down to your MRP. Okay. General data, procedures, MRP data, lot sizing, MRP areas, and ABC indicator. ABC means, what does ABC mean over here? Now, ABC, from costing point of view, it is also activity-based costing. Okay, but when it comes to MRP production, A, of course, is high value, low consumption. B is medium value, high or medium consumption. C is low value, high consumption. We'll be discussing more on this. Plant specific material status blockages. Okay. Now, ABC indicator. Okay. Significant material, material with medium significance, material with low significance. Plant specific material status. Now, plant specific, for example, material is produced, and it is sent to another plant. Okay. So that plant or the issuing plant or the receiving plant can block it for procurement, or it can block for task or block for consumption. Okay. Or it can have other status as well. So this is basically your status. Okay. MRP types, PD, MRP types. What are MRP types? Now, MRP types can be various approaches on how you want to treat a material. Okay, it can be for planning, replenishment, or MRP, or forecasting, or for explosion of the bills of material. Okay, so based on this, let's keep this and we will change this later on. MRP controller. Now, MRP controller is basically for reporting purposes. I'll explain all of this. No values are here. We'll define it later. Reorder point. Now, reorder point is basically when your material is hitting a low in quantity. That point is like if last 100 pieces are left, it will reorder on its own. Lot size. Now, lot size quantity. Now, what are lot sizing? Basically, how many pieces in one lot should be there. Okay, whether it should be fixed or it will be based monthly or daily based on, oh, sorry. Now, your lot sizing can be daily or monthly or weekly or fixed, or lot for lot order will use X. Okay. And periodic, it can be periodic. MRP areas, we will actually discuss this as well. Okay. MRP2. Now, there are more parts in MRP2. We have procurement, scheduling, net requirements calculation. Let's discuss all of this. Procurement type is F. What is F? Procurement type F, external procurement. No procurement, both procurement. Hybrid or in-house production based on your material type and group. You can have your material attributes. Okay, so this actually is coming from material type config. We've already seen that. Okay, scheduling, margin key. Come down to scheduling. Scheduling margin key is basically margin key is basically what, when you're starting to produce production of your material, there is a cushion of time, that is float time before production, after production, opening period, release period. Okay, so there are delays that you want to plan before starting, and there are no values right now. So anyways, planning delays, these occur and these are very natural. Planned delivery time. Now, planned delivery time, basically this can have a reserve that how many days will it be required to produce and when it will be delivered. These are planned. Okay. MRP2, it has three parts, which is procurement, scheduling, and net requirements. What is net requirement? We'll actually see that on a very basic level. I'll just tell you that net and gross requirement. Net requirement is that you have a requirement of 100 pieces. The stock that you have available is 50. So net requirement is 100 minus 50, 50. But in gross requirement is of 100, stock available is 50, gross requirement will be 100. So it tells you the total overall. MRP3. MRP3 has how many parts? Forecast, requirements, planning, availability check, plan specific configuration. So there are forecasting parts, planning and availability checks. In planning, of course, we have strategy group. Let's see, we have values. Okay. So strategy group. Okay, if we talk about strategy group over here, make to order 20, 21, 25, 26, all are make to order. 10 and 11 are make to stock. Now, what is make to stock? Make to order? Make to order is one that is following a sales order. Make to stock is basically or following the production order. Make to stock is basically not customer specific. Make to order is customer specific. Okay. Other than that, we have planning with final assembly, planning without final assembly. Okay, so final assembly again, we have 70 as a planning at assembly level. So when you are producing a material, of course, at assembly level you are planning, and this is related to at assembly level. If you're planning, then that is make to stock. Okay, and uh planning with planning material, service orders. I mean, these are some details that will be actually going into detail in the next lectures. Okay. So even if you don't understand what this is, it's okay. So make to stock or make to order, no assembly order, pre-planning with assembly. We'll be discussing all of this strategy group. Okay. Make to stock production. Okay. Make to stock, adopt. Okay. We are adopting 10. Availability check. Okay, now availability check is basically we have requirement for planning for MRP on daily basis, individual requirements on batches level, or no check. We'll just go for KP right now. Okay. I hope everything is clear to you. Okay, availability check. System actually checks whether production assembly is available or not. MRP4, we have bomb explosion, one part, discontinued parts, repetitive manufacturing, and repetitive manufacturing is basically done for make to stock manufacturing, like Coca-Cola, Pepsi are repetitive manufacturing where the process does not change that much. Discontinued parts, if one material is discontinued, then of course it is replaced by another upgraded next version, new model, and follow-up materials given over here. Production versions basically is related to your production style. If there is an Italian machine and a Chinese machine, one Chinese machine will have its own production version that it produces 3,000 cartons, and the Italian version produces 1,200, but of a higher quality. Component scrap can be given over here. Okay. And bomb explosion, this is basically bills of material that is used for production. All details of repetitive manufacturing are given over here. Individual collective requirement production orders are collectively clubbed. Individual ones are separately created with requirements. So if there are individual requirements for a material, then that is basically planned separately. Otherwise, collective requirements. So we can have individual and collective requirement. We are not touching that. We'll keep it the same. I hope this is all clear. Let me just check. So we have done already quite a lot. We are just at the end of 2. Okay. Now, valuation class. This is basically used for GL account determination. That will be work scheduling. This unit of value, unit of issue. It can be different as well. Plant data storage. gross weight, serial numbers can be given over here, plant data storage, unit of issue, storage, time unit. Okay, you can maintain that. Accounting. Valuation class. Valuation class is basically for GL account, which raw material will be used for GRN and for movement and consumption. It will be recorded over here. Accounting to, okay. Accounting to, okay, standard price will be given over here. Raw material is basically run on average, moving average. Okay. Moving average. Okay, we'll use moving average. Standard price will be 101 per unit price. 101. Accounting 2. Enter valuation class. Okay, valuation class is 3000. For example, I'll take that. Accounting 2. Now these are product costing fields. It will update the pricing over here. Costing 1. Origin group, material origin, yes. With quantity structure, what is quantity structure? Routing and BOM. Do not cost if you don't want to cost this material, it will be shown over here. And alternative BOM for production versions. Okay. Origin group will discuss this later on. Overhead groups will also discuss this later. Costing too. When product costing is done, it is maintained over here. Future, current, and previous are done over here. That's done once in cycle, once per month. Okay, so quantity structure is basically BOM and routing. We've already seen that. If you have time, okay, N, okay, PP01, PP01, PPC, okay, standard, standard cost, quantity structure, control, BOM application, routing. We actually give routing, selection, and BOM structure like this. So that is it. Okay, work scheduling, we'll discuss this in the later part. So that is all for today.